Greetings and welcome to another edition of Caring About Seniors. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. Now, as you know, each week I sit down with Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville and we discuss all aspects of senior living. Today I'm being joined by Alba Gocius from Oasis, and our guest is Joanne Hickox from Seniors on a Mission. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, Joanne, before we talk about one or two of the programs that Seniors on a Mission have, it's been going for over 20 years and it started really with seniors and monthly social outings. Tell me how it's developed on from there.
Well, we discovered very early on that seniors wanted purpose. And so we created a day-long service opportunity where a bunch of people, typically 20 to 35 people, would get together, and between 10 and 2, they would knock out a really large project for a local nonprofit.
And it was as simple as that.
Well, you had to have lunch.
Of course.
You had to have free lunch. But we have worked with over 130 different nonprofits here in Jacksonville, Florida. And the seniors to date have given back more than $3 million worth of service.
Now you've watched over the years how seniors are interacting with technology.
You mean the lack thereof?
Or the lack thereof, yes. And so recently you have started technology pop-ups. Tell me what they are.
Well, before I tell you what they are, let me tell you how they came about.
There we go.
We started, well, at the very beginning of the pandemic, we were delivering food with our bus. And our rent went from $500 a month for our office to $5,500 a month. Wow. Yeah. Shock. We were just, we couldn't believe it. So we went away for the weekend and we fasted food, electronics, and conversation. And we just wrote down what we heard. And when we came back together as a team, we all agreed that we had heard the Lord say we were going to go mobile. And we were laughing at each other because we didn't know what going mobile meant. It was like, okay, we're going mobile. And we went back, we talked to our board of directors, we've talked to our some of our lead donors and said, we believe this is where we're being led. And within 5 months, we had chosen, renovated, and had paid in full a 40-foot mobile unit that we now take out and use for technology pop-ups. So that's how it came about.
Wow.
Now, a technology pop-up is where the mobile unit will drive to, typically it's a church parking lot because we do it Monday through Friday. So church parking lots are more accessible during the week.
During the week.
Basically. And then we will go directly to HUD housing senior locations. And we will park in their very tight parking spots. But we open up the mobile unit, and there is space for 4 trainers to teach one-on-one senior adults. And we schedule 5 sessions per day, times that number of trainers. So that is a pop-up.
So between 10 and 2?
Well, typically the appointments, yeah. We start at 10. We have a 10, an 11, a 12:30, 1:30, and 2:30. Typically 4 people will get trained. Occasionally, we have 5. They all love to come up inside the mobile unit. The mobile unit is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But it also feels like when they were younger and they were traveling in the country, or they had friends that had a mobile home, a mobile unit. Although the king-size bed in the back has been totally renovated into an office, which was really gracious of a pastor friend of ours designed that and executed that for us. The other cool thing is the whole side pops out. Oh. And in the front, the kitchen pops the other direction. It's huge. It's 10 by 10 inside. And so when there's 8 people inside, you don't feel crammed. You don't feel anything. It's like you're in somebody's living office.
Wow.
And the other wonderful thing is the whole side of it that pops out has an awning. that goes out 10 feet. So we register everybody outside, and then we have had occasion where we've had paraplegics come up. And so we train them outside. And, or one time I had a lady who had an emotion dog. And, well, she was fine to go inside the mobile unit, but the dog was freaking out. The dog was barking because it didn't have eyes on, and I thought, wow, the person is actually the emotional support here for the dog.
Now, these technology pop-ups, people can come along and they can bring their phone or a tablet. And they can focus on whatever they want to focus on with their trainer within the hour.
Yes. Well, it's a 45-minute session.
Okay.
Because we need a break between that person and the next person. It's a 45-minute session. And do you have a phone, Al, on you?
It's sitting over there.
Oh, okay. Well, what I was going to say was they bring in their own mobile phone or their own tablet. And we work directly across from them. And we grab their phone and we point it towards them and we work upside down. And we say, okay, now hit this button. Now touch this. Now scroll this. No, you got to scroll that a little faster.
Yes.
And we work with them. Now they all come with their own list of things they want to learn. But we've learned that there's 4 or 5 things that they need to know before we jump on their list.
Basics.
Very basic.
Technology 101.
Kind of like, is the lettering big enough? Can you read it? Because if the font isn't large enough, then we can go in and make it larger for them. The other thing is when people get a phone, it's generally when it comes directly from the factory, it's set for the lowest amount of go black time, which, they're trying to make sure that your battery doesn't get worn out really fast. Well, for a senior, they stepped away to get something, they came back and their phone's black. Because they went to do something and now their phone is, and they have to go through, some of them, they literally are thinking about what the next decision is and it goes black because it's set to like 3 seconds or 5 seconds. And it's like, who does anything in 5 seconds?
Well, teenagers.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I can remember a couple of years ago now, but a friend of mine said, where's a teenager when you need one? And was having trouble with her phone. But in fact, I know that there's a lot of seniors, whose children actually grab it and say, oh, here we go, it's done. And they say,
and that's the problem.
I wanted to know how to do it. Yes, next time. And nobody's got time. But this is an opportunity for them to actually feel as though.
We always let the senior do the work.
Yes.
Like, you have to learn how to do this because if you don't learn, we haven't really been successful in helping you learn what you need to know.
Yeah. But if you don't actually do it yourself, you don't remember it either.
True.
So it's one of those things.
Yeah.
So you do other things as well. Seniors on a Mission, and I have to say that you are the executive director, but you were the founder.
Yes.
Of this.
Yes.
So this has been really a mission for you from the start.
Well, I'm the oldest of 42 grandchildren. When I was born, all I had was senior adults around me. Well, they weren't senior adults at the time, but to me, they were all 20 to 30 years older than I was.
Right.
And so I grew up loving people 2 to 3 decades. Also, and Al knows this, I'm married to a man who's 25 years older than myself. Nice. Brian is 83, going to be 84 next month, or in July. And I mean, we've been married 35 years. And wow. I just love senior adults. I find them so interesting and curious and
we're just a lovable bunch.
Yeah, joy to be around.
Yes.
And that's the other thing about what goes on with the technology pop-up is we are taking the time with them to make sure that they know what they need to know and that they do it joyfully.
Yes. So. I mean, you've obviously come across a lot of seniors that need help, and have you put them in touch with Joanne?
I haven't put them in touch directly. I'm a knockoff of hers because what I love to do is to teach my seniors how to text. That is so important. And we had one guest here, Hank, who we religiously text with each other. And it's so important because My newest senior has what Bruce Willis has, aphasia. So she lost the entire capability of hearing. So with her needs and her wants and what we have to do for her, we're texting 24/7. And that's such a good thing to have for our seniors. And I'm sure you see seniors texting like crazy after a while once they learn how to
Once
do
they
it.
learn, yeah.
Once they learn, yes. It's connection for their grandchildren, for a number of things.
The other thing is, we had a gentleman who came in with a flip phone. And we had to learn how to do the flip phone because, we do Androids, we do Apple, we do all versions of them. And if we don't know it, we Google it and figure it out. But we had a gentleman who loved his phone. But he was beginning to forget phone numbers. And his daughter said to him, unless you recognize the phone number, do not answer it, as a safety issue, because she didn't want him getting scammed. And I totally understood. But he came to our technology situation and said, I don't know when my grandchildren are calling me because they change their phone numbers so often that I don't know their phone number. And I can't pull out my list and look and see. So we taught him, in the old phones, you had to hit the A 3 times to get to C. So we taught him how to, and we sat with him for, the 45 minutes, and we entered every family member, called it to make sure we got the right family member. And now he is empowered because he knows when the name pops up, he can recognize the name. But it's a dignity thing.
Yes.
And
Yes,
he
of
didn't want to
course.
tell his kids that he couldn't remember phone numbers as fast as he used to. And so it was such a joy for us to watch him go home just, proud of himself and excited. And
Joanne, there's so much more I want to ask you, and I know that there's so much more that you do within the community with seniors. But we're going to have to cut it short. I know, but you have to promise me that you will come back soon.
okay.
Because I really want to know more about the mission trips that you're still doing and everything else in the community. But thank you for coming in, and thank you for what you're doing, because somebody needs to have a little bit more patience, and luckily you've got it.
Well, and I just wanted to make sure everybody knows www.seniorsonAmission.org, technology pop-ups. They can see where we're going to be and who to call to sign up.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yay.
And don't forget, if there's any more information that you would like to know about Seniors on a Mission, it's seniorsonAmission.org.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining Caring About Seniors. I look forward to seeing you next week.
We are local. We are your local experts in senior housing. We have taken the time to personally set foot in just about every licensed senior community in Northeast Florida. And not just, be there, but also pay attention to, is the same staff there, or are they having turnover? Are the residents smiling? Are they happy? Are they interacting with the staff? And what is the culture? What is the personality? There's a lot of intangibles that we pick up on and remember when it's time to match a client with the right community. The intangibles are as important as the tangibles. And I think that sets us apart in that intimate personal knowledge of the communities in Northeast Florida. We are local. We are your local experts in senior housing. We have taken the time to personally set foot in just about every licensed senior community in Northeast Florida. I think that sets us apart in that intimate personal knowledge of the communities in Northeast Florida.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of Caring About Seniors. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. Now, each week, as you know, I sit down with Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville and we discuss all aspects of senior living. Today, I am joined by Al Bagocious from Oasis and Dave Roberts from Beach House Assisted Living, and he's the Sales and Marketing Director, so hopefully he's going to tell us all about the wonderful Beach House. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Adrienne. How are you today?
I'm very well. Welcome, Al. Good to see you again. So it's a difficult situation going into assisted living. When is the right time to talk about it?
Well, what I'll tell you is what I tell people is there's a proactive approach and a reactive approach. We always like the proactive approach. Looking, mom starting to slow down. It's time to kind of make a decision. Versus the reactive approach, mom had a stroke, now she's in a nursing home getting rehab, and it's time to look. Okay, so, that's generally the right time, is looking at the proactive approach.
And it's like, well, is it when they're a set age? Is it when you start noticing things around the house? I mean, proactive, that's great, but, I'm almost 68 years old and I don't want to even think about assisted living, but maybe this is the time I should be.
Well, a lot of times we see it when an individual has been married, recently lost their spouse or a loved one, and now they're getting to the point to where they want, they're realizing it's hard to cook for one. The house is a lot more to care for. It makes it tough on that angle. Well, then the kids start to realize that too. Mom's losing weight. She's not eating as well. Starting to notice mom's forgetting some things. That's when that we get the phone call most of the time.
Yeah. And Al, I mean, you've been dealing with Dave for a while now.
Right.
You have the same situation. It's much easier to deal with proactively than it is reactively, although you do have those situations.
And we're really coming up on a wonderful barometer this weekend, and that's Easter weekend, where families get together. We get to see mom and dad, see how they're doing, and really everybody's all together. It's a good time for a family huddle and really decide what's the next step. And I ask and I beg and I plead, follow up with mom and dad the week after Easter, because they're on their best behavior and they're trying so hard to please everybody. They're not showing you their real selves. And if you give them some food in their refrigerator and it's still sitting in that refrigerator a week later when you see them, that's a recipe for some real problems with foodborne infections.
Yes, of course.
One thing we see a lot of is, when they're on the phone with their daughter that may live in Boston, they say, hey, honey, I'm doing great, because they don't want their daughter to really know what's going on. And when the daughter comes in town for Easter, she sees that there's more cat food than there is food for her mother to consume. And that's when we get the phone call, or Al gets the phone call.
Yeah. Golly. Now, I hear there's a big demand for memory care. And you also, not only is it assisted living, but you have memory care facility. Tell me about that.
So memory care, from what people say and what a lot of people think, is just because my dad has Alzheimer's or dementia, he needs a memory care setting. Well, that's not always the case at the beginning stages. They can live in an assisted living setting and be monitored, but in the memory care setting, once they get to those more moderate to advanced stages, that's where you want them to be, because there's a lot of more hands-on care. It's a smaller setting because there's a lot of changes that occur in the brain that we don't understand as they start to get dementia and Alzheimer's. For instance, the word bathroom or restroom goes out the window. They don't know what that means. But if you put a picture of a toilet on a door, they'll know that that's the right place. A lot of memory care and Alzheimer's residents will not walk into a door that's shut because they're scared what's on the other side. Back in the 80s and 70s, or 80s and early 90s, they did a lot of construction in hospitals and removed those old tile floors that were white and black checkerboard. Because what they realized was Alzheimer's patients would only walk on the white tiles because they thought the black tiles were holes.
Oh my goodness.
So these are things that we learn in the business and through all the study and research and constant training that Al goes through, I go through, and most of us in the healthcare industry go through to learn this stuff, because you'd never think about that.
And there's a number of different strains of memory loss, isn't there? It's not just Alzheimer's, although everyone always says Alzheimer's because it's the most frequently said, I think. But there's Lewy body, and there's so many more, and they all have different aspects, don't they?
They do, but ultimately none of it is actually determined. You know, Alzheimer's cannot officially be diagnosed until post-mortem. The reason being, doctors make a diagnosis of it, but it's under suspicion. They technically don't know until they look at the brain post-mortem and see the decay and the plaques and all that stuff.
Right.
But they can set it as senile dementia, or, you know, this. We think this is all. I mean, there's signs and symptoms, but you technically really don't know until post-mortem.
Right. So first of all, tell us, where is Beach House? I mean, it should be on the beach. I mean, that's, you know.
So we're at 1315 2nd Avenue North, located in Jack's Beach.
Right.
One thing that's a little different with us is we're a hidden gem. We're located in a neighborhood. So if you know where Penman Road is, you have Penman Park right next to the Coast Guard station. We're tucked right next door. So when we walk out our front door and we look, we see the neighbor cutting their grass or washing their car. We don't see, you know, just droves of traffic going down a main intersection or a main road.
How nice, how nice. So what services do you offer? What are all of the services that you offer?
So we mainly offer assisted living and memory care. And with those, you know, there's things that we provide. Some of the things that we provide are activities of daily living, which is bathing, dressing, toileting, grooming, those type of things, assistance with medications, okay? Those are all on the care side. But some of the base services that are included at Beach House is all your utilities. So the only utility you have to worry about is your phone. Some people like a cell phone, some people like a landline. Dealing with this generation, you know, most of them like a landline still. So, you know, we have to deal with that. But Wi-Fi is included, cable. Our cable is closed circuit, and it was actually picked by our residents. So we have channels that me, being a 45-year-old man, that I may not particularly like, but my 84-year-old residents love it. Yeah. So we've got 2 Western channels for them and all kinds of fun stuff.
So what's actually included in the basic rent?
So the basic rent includes 3 meals a day in a restaurant-style dining room where you order from a menu. You have weekly housekeeping. They'll come in and clean your room for you. Laundry services. They'll do 2 loads of linens a week for you. They'll fold it, put it back away for you, so that makes it nice. As well as electricity, water, sewer, trash, cable, and Wi-Fi.
Oh my goodness. Now you've got different levels of care that you offer to people. Would you like to explain a little bit about that?
So our levels of care are determined by a nursing assessment. Our nurses go out and meet with the potential resident, but ultimately we have to follow what's called an 1823 form. We are governed by the state of Florida, and that is a form that's filled out by their physician. And it's a history and physical. So it tells us head to toe what's going on with you. And then we determine our care based on that. But we do have 4 levels of care. So some with just a very minimal amount of care. And then we have more people that need a lot higher acuity.
Right.
Yeah.
And Al, I mean, you obviously have people that need to be housed. And when you take them along there, do you suggest that they sort of spend a day there and see how they like it, or how does it work?
The way that I like to do it most is schedule a lunch for the tour. So they come in, they can talk to the other residents, talk to the staff. And frankly, a senior will move in or move out depending on how good the food is. That's
Are you serious?
serious.
As simple as that?
Yep. I just wrote a blog, and you know I do a lot of blogs for seniors here. I wrote a blog on ice cream today, and all of the brain benefits of eating ice cream. So you'll see all the senior communities, they'll have ice cream socials and things of that sort. That is a wonder drug for breaking the isolation, breaking the ice, and making the seniors feel good.
Yeah, so it's all about that. Dave, what do you want people to know about Beach House that makes it stand out from other places?
One of the biggest things that we offer, Jacksonville is such a military community. There's a benefit that folks get from the VA, and it's called the aid and attendance benefit, but that's not what I'm talking about. We at Beach House, we give a 10% discount to our veterans and their spouses. So if they show us a DD 214 of a husband that passed away, we'll give you 10% off your monthly rent, and that's off your base rent. So, that's something that I can tell you, I've been in this business for 24 years, and out of all the different communities I've never worked at, I've never seen anybody offer that. And with having as many naval bases as we have and, military veterans in the area, it's a good service.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what would you say, Al, is the sort of final words for people out there who are considering, that sounds like it might be the right place for me? I mean, there's a lot of things to be taken into consideration, but
it is, and the fact that a little bit of history, the Beach House used to be a women's center many years ago, so it's really people-centered, and the many times that I have been there, all the staff is engaged with their residents, and that's really a big plus.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it, and good luck with the future, because now we're coming out of the pandemic. Hopefully everyone's able to connect once more and to tour and to feel a lot more comfortable. And
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've noticed the change.
We have been very busy with folks. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dave. Thanks,
Thank
Al.
you.
And don't forget, if you'd like to know any more information about Beach House Assisted Living and Memory Care, you can also find it on iwannabuzz.com. Look forward to seeing you again on Caring About Seniors.